The debate's 2 weeks from tomorrow. This is NBC News on the Biden debate strategy. I want to see what you think about it, Kaylee. They said inside the campaign, aides believe Biden walks on the stage with the upper hand. Mostly his mandate will be to let Trump be Trump, which they believe will reveal extreme leanings and a less stable Trump than 4 years ago. What do you think of that strategy?
So I know the debate team, there's some reporting they may be hunkering down in Camp David. I think they are totally off. I think if they expect to show up against an undisciplined Trump, they haven't watched the last month and a half where he's been very disciplined, very on message. I was reading today in Politico, they expect to show up and see a Trump that attacks them over Hunter Biden in a very personal way. I think they're miscalculating. Maybe they need to go so far as to read their favorite paper, the New York Times, read to the bottom. Those in Trump world have said, Trump has specifically said in meetings, there is a risk overreaching on Hunter. It's not worth politically attacking Hunter. They are going to meet a Trump who's disciplined, who's smart, and, go prepare for that Trump, the Trump 1.0 debate. I think you're going to meet the Trump 2.0 debate.
President Trump has set fundraising records. He raised $53 million in the first 24 hours after the verdict in that terrible, bogus trial in Manhattan. And I think that shows that people understand what's happening here. We also set fundraising records, and we've continued to. He's announced he's raised over $400 million since the verdict came down, and there's much more to come. And you know why? Because people see that that is a threat to our republic. They see that that's a threat to our system of justice, and they want to push back. And so in many ways, President Trump has become a symbol of that, pushing back against corruption, the deep state, the weaponization of the judicial system, and that's a very encouraging development. So I think that he made the point every time they indicted him, his polls went up. That's right, because people see exactly what's happening here, and we have to fix it, and we will.
We just concluded a very successful special political conference with our special guest, President Donald J. Trump. He was warmly welcomed by the House Republican Conference. We are 100% unified behind his candidacy and are ready to get to work on behalf of the American people to secure the border, unleash American energy independence, bring back peace through strength, stand up for election integrity, and defeat this illegal weaponization of the justice system. It was a unifying event, and I'm grateful to the president for answering questions from our colleagues today.
Meanwhile, I want to begin by quoting the jury in the Manhattan hush money payment trial. Guilty. Guilty.
Sorry for the interruption, but I wanted to make sure that you know that I didn't do any fancy editing. I didn't interrupt anything that he said. I didn't try to patch different clips together. This is Adam Schiff at his best. While Trump is in Washington trying to unify the Republican Party at Congress, this is what the Democrats were busy doing.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Trump was able to galvanize Republicans today with a series of meetings, and meanwhile, the dog and pony show called the Democrat Party was doing this.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, Dementia Joe was in Europe doing his normal routine.
To impact and to implement democratic, economic, and security reforms.
They got nothing. There's no way these people can win. They absolutely have nothing to offer the American people. You and I both know that there's no way that they can win this election. There's only one way that they can probably pull it off. I can't say it here, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Absent that kind of BS, it's gonna be a landslide. Listen to what Trump had to say today up at Congress.
Former President Trump is going to be talking about policy, talking about party unity, or whether he'll go back into, sort of the grievance phase of things, talking about his court cases, talking about what he sees as a completely unfair process against him. Mary Catherine Ham and I were speaking about this just she finished the segment with Richard Fowler, and that is that, voters are not really interested in hearing too much about the past. They want to know that you've got empathy for them and for their plight as they're trying to build a family and put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. And while there is a lot of sympathy among Republican supporters for what's been happening to President Trump, they also want to know what the former president, is going to do for them should he get reelected.
Yeah, and we heard from Speaker Mike Johnson earlier. He met with Senate Republicans just yesterday, and he has been setting up this ambitious agenda, John, for Washington if the former President Donald Trump, who you see entering the room there,
here he comes.
If indeed he's elected and Republicans win back control of the Senate and keep the House majority. So they've been cooking up big plans. And by the way, also should point out that this is the first return to Washington for the former president post-verdict, his verdict.
Yeah.
And also remember, Mitt Romney, douchebag, he didn't show up. Lisa Murkowski, nope, she didn't show up. Susan Collins, nope, she didn't show up. They gotta go. They gotta be just basically voted out, primary, do whatever you need to do, get rid of Susan Collins, get rid of Lisa Murkowski, and I think Mittens is already gone.
So it's also the first time he's been back up on Capitol Hill since he left office back on January 20th, 2021, and then flew away down to Mar-a-Lago. Let's listen in here.
I love that all these people showed up.
Well, thank you very much. This was a great meeting. There's tremendous unity in the Republican Party. We want to see borders. We want to see strong military.
I just got to point something out. Notice at that podium, in Congress, in Washington, he's got his podium in Congress. Think about that move, that power play of him having his podium with Trump on it at Congress.
We want to see money not wasted all over the world. We don't want to see Russian ships right off the coast of Florida.
Oh, I got to show you something about that, so make sure you stick around because, oh my God, no one's reporting about it. I've mentioned it in a couple of my videos, but they are not just on the coast of Florida. They are actually firing missiles.
Which is what they are right now. That's unthinkable. We want to see just success for our country, and we don't have success right now. We have inflation that's killing everybody. We have levels of inflation that nobody's seen for, they say 42 years, they say 53 years, and they say 75 years. I would say probably all of them are wrong. Probably we've never seen levels like this before. And we're going to end that. We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to bring back common sense to government. We're going to have strong borders, and we're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. They're not going to pour in from prisons all over South America and all over the world. And it's not just South America, by the way. It's all over the world. And we're not going to have them pour in from mental institutions, which is where they're coming from. Large numbers, and large numbers are terrorists, and we're not going to have this. So what's happening to our country is of great concern to the group of people standing alongside of me. And I just wanted to say that we have great unity, we have great common sense, a lot of very smart people in this room, and a lot of people that love our country. They love our country beyond just about all else. And the only thing that maybe supersedes it is their family and maybe their faith in certain instances, and that's very nice. They want this country to be great again, and we're going to make it great again. And so I just want to thank the Republican Senate, and I want to thank also the House. We met, as you know, with the full House, Republican House today, and we had a tremendous meeting with them also, and there's great unity. Very similar, different topics actually, but not that different. And there's one thing in common. We want to make America great again. We want to make our country great again. We're a nation that's in decline. We're a declining nation. We're a nation that is being laughed at all over the world. We have a leader that's being laughed at all over the world. And we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. The polls are looking like they're very strongly for us. And no matter where you look, in fact, a lot of states that people thought weren't in play are very strongly in play. Some were actually leading in. But we have to get elected. We have to take this beautiful place, and we have to make it really something very special again. Right now, it's not special. Right now, it's being scorned and being used as an example of when they look at the crime on the streets, when they look at all of the problems that we have, they're using us as a bad example of democracy, and they're getting away with murder, and we're not going to let it happen. So I just want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank everybody here. You're all either elected or you're going to be elected again and reelected, and I'm with every one of you, and you know that. I'll be with you always. And thank you very much for inviting me, and We're going to have great success. I think we're going to have a tremendous election. It's November 5th is very important, but we really start much earlier than that. You have North Carolina as an example. You have North Carolina September 6th. You have Pennsylvania starts on September 22nd. These are things different from the old days. We had election day and you had paper ballots and you had voter ID. Unfortunately, maybe someday we'll get back to that, but you don't have that right now. But this is an outstanding group of people. I'm with them 1,000%. They're with me 1,000%. We agree just about on everything, and if there isn't, we work it out. And I've had a really great relationship with just about everybody here, just about all of the senators, and if it wasn't fantastic, it gets worked out. And we have one thing in mind, and that's making our country great. So thank you all very much. We appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Like Kayleigh McEnany said earlier in my video here, Trump is coming to win. This is definitely Trump 2.0. He's coming to fix America. Not just make America great again. We got to fix a lot of things first. And he understands what he needs to do. And now he's building a coalition. That has got to terrify the Democrats. The Biden team at this point is waving the white flag on all of the issues that Americans really care about. And Dementia Joe is over in Europe trying to lock the United States into, basically force us to give that country over there billions of dollars over the next 10 years and trying to make it so that President Trump can't revoke it. Good luck with that. Meanwhile, back home, where Biden should be, you got Adam Schiff puking up all kinds of stuff about the guilty verdict, and then you got other members of his administration showing they really have no clue, and in essence, like I said, waving the white flag.
The public believes that the former President Trump, was better for the economy than the current president.
No doubt. You've seen the polls. Nobody thinks that Dementia Joe is good for the economy. You know, things that people actually care about. The economy is always the number one issue. Now listen to this woman, the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, basically go, yeah, you're right.
I think President Biden understands that people are feeling pain. And when they say this, they are concerned. I think they've seen the level of prices rise quite a lot. I mean,
spit it out, lady. Yes, we've seen prices rise quite a bit.
Over 20% over the last 3 years or so.
You mean during Dementia Joe's presidency? You might as well just say that. We have watched prices go up 20+% on certain items, even higher on other items, over the course of Dementia Joe's presidency. She just admitted it.
They can remember when
when Trump was in office? Yes, you're right.
Price of a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread was 30% lower than it is now. And low-income families have seen some of the highest increase in cost.
Low-income families have seen the highest increase of cost. And that's your messaging from the Secretary of the Treasury? She's like, yeah, we screwed up. We raised your prices over 20%. And unfortunately, people in the hood, you're getting hit the worst. That's what you got to say? It's over, man. It's completely over. How sad is that? And tell me, as you're seeing her talk, why does everyone in Dementia Joe's administration seem so inept? They just seem like they have no clue whatsoever what they're doing. Who picked these people? It's like they went around and tried to find the least competent people ever and say, okay, you can be in my cabinet. Somebody, whoever the puppet masters are, just threw bodies in there. You're just going to be a figurehead. We don't expect you to do anything. We're going to do everything behind the scenes. Just get out there and take the arrows. And now, 5 months away from an election, you guys are basically waving the white flag. You have no idea what Americans really care about. Oh, and by the way, here's proof that you are completely obtuse. While Dementia Joe is over in Europe playing footsie with his new son, some of us Americans are dealing with a nuclear submarine firing missiles off the coast of Florida. Literally 50 miles off the coast of South Florida. You've got Russia firing test missiles right in the Caribbean. That's right off the coast of Florida. what we're waking up to. We're seeing a submarine launch test missiles. Meanwhile, he's over there giving away billions of dollars. Dude, what the hell are you doing in Europe? With Americans seeing that, maybe seeing it, I'm pretty sure most of the people in the media aren't even showing it. But with people seeing that, do you think they care even this much about you giving billions of dollars away to your new favorite son on Father's Day? Are you kidding me? Why in the hell are you in Europe with Justin Trudeau and some of these other flakes while you've got Russia flexing their muscle with a new nuclear submarine right off the coast of America? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I can't even imagine how many votes you just lost by people seeing missiles being fired off the coast of America. Literally 50 to 60 miles off the coast of South Florida, you've got Vladimir Putin firing test missiles, and you're nowhere to be found. You're kidding me, right? This is a leader? Hell no. But don't worry. Dementia Joe just launched a new ad campaign, and you can tell by this ad campaign that he knows absolutely what Americans care about most. Check this out.
On January 6th, Donald Trump lit a fire in this country.
140 officers were injured. The siege lasted for 7 hours.
Stoking the flames of division.
No BS. This is actually an ad that Dementia Joe's team just put out. They made an ad while he's over in Europe. They launched it today about January 6th.
And in hate. Now he's pouring gasoline.
They were unbelievable patriots.
Pledging to pardon the extremists who tried to overthrow our government.
We will give them pardons.
Inciting them to try again. There is nothing more sacred than our democracy. But Donald Trump's ready to burn it all down.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Hey, Joe, if I were you, I wouldn't have put your name at the end of that ad. It's insane. Nobody cares about January 6th. They care about rent. They care about groceries. They care about gas prices. They care about their wages not being taxed to death. And you run an ad about January 6th while you're overseas in Europe giving away billions and billions of more dollars. And you expect that that's going to be a message that resonates with Americans? Wow, just turn in your card right now. Turn in your presidential card. You have no idea what the hell Americans really care about. How about security? Oh, security. Yeah, you're worried about a January 6th event where there were no weapons, and meanwhile there's a nuclear submarine test firing missiles in the Caribbean. You can't be this obtuse unless you intentionally want to be this obtuse. So think about it. So right now, after you saw Adam Schiff, the Biden message is January 6th, oh my God, he tried to overthrow the government, and he's guilty, 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 guilty. That's the extent of their message. That's the extent of the message that nobody cares about. That's what you got? Seriously? I don't know if Donald Trump will be able to counter that. What kind of ad could Donald Trump put out there that could even counter the message that Dementia Joe is putting out there? I wonder.
2/3 of Americans who consider themselves middle class are now facing financial hardship.
Many remain deeply uneasy about the economy and the prospect of a looming recession.
Everybody's suffering. Everybody. It doesn't make any sense.
Everything's gone up an absurd amount.
Americans are paying an 18% inflation tax. All states have hit gas price highs, all 50 of them.
The IRS is building an army of new auditors, and some of them could be armed. New Democratic spending bill will add nearly 87,000 new IRS agents.
Going after low-income earners are easy targets for an audit. The poorest families were audited at a rate 5 times higher than for everyone else.
Okay, I'm only halfway through this ad, and you just saw Trump hit on basically every single point that real Americans actually care about in less than 30 seconds. Yeah, I played that for about 30 seconds, and already you see him nailing it in terms of talking about the issues that Americans actually care about. Oh, but January 6th and conviction. Yeah, you run with that.
Economics in action.
When I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Voters in key swing states overwhelmingly favored the economy under Trump. If it's about the economy, Trump is going to win a landslide.
Bingo. If it's about the economy, Trump is going to win in a landslide. I've been telling you people this over and over and over. Barring the shenanigans that they like to pull, it's over. I am so confident in it because economy is number one issue.
Guarantee it. Voters say it is Trump who would better handle the economy.
Her saying the economy and everything is better, it was far better under President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country, and we're going to have it again, but in spades. It's going to be bigger and better than ever before.
After watching those two ads, who do you think is more presidential? Who do you think could lead America better? This guy talking about history, January 6th, where there was no overthrow of the government, and worried about some sham trial with 34 guilty counts, or this guy on the other side, Trump, talking about the actual issues that Americans care about. The economy first and foremost. It's always been the economy. I don't know which political strategist came up with it, but it's the economy, stupid, has always been the cliche argument for presidential campaigns. Dementia Joe, he completely ignores that. He's over in Europe giving away billions of dollars, slurring his way through meetings, talking with that guy, you know who he is, his new favorite son. We'll take care of you for the next 10 years. Meanwhile, we've got Russian submarines launching from a nuclear submarine missiles here in the Caribbean, 50, 60 miles off the coast of Florida. And people here are having such a hard time with everything that he did. But yeah, he was convicted of 34 counts. And yeah, there was a riot on January 6th. Nobody cares. Imagine that. Trump is a candidate who actually knows what Americans care about. Trump completely embarrassed Dementia Joe and the Democrats by simply being presidential. Good luck, Joe. You're in huge trouble. And I think a lot of people know it. Hey, listen, the big debate between Dementia Joe and Trump is scheduled for June 27th, if it happens. And I'll be broadcasting it live, and I want you to join me. If you've watched any of my live broadcasts, you know we have a ton of fun. 300,000 people tuned in to see my live broadcast of the Las Vegas rally, and I gave away a fabulous trip. So be sure to join me for the big debate. It will be undoubtedly a lot of fun, and who knows, you might win something. Just click here to register to be notified as soon as I go live. Thanks, and talk to you soon. Hope to see you at the debate.